Hello, hello.
Hello, Jade.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm recovering.
Okay, we're going to talk about what that recovering is. Firstly, though, welcome to Give Them Their Flowers. This is like a segment that I wanted to create, which is basically, it does what it says on the tin. It gives people their flowers, especially when they're here, to receive them, to hear them. And it kind of gives, artists that are really inspirational and influential to our community, which you are. And it gives them a chance.
I'm not good with compliments, by the way.
You gonna receive them. You gonna have to take them, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh man, I'm gonna get stiff.
So we want to talk about your history, your current work, and what the future plans of what it is that you're doing. I know you're doing some really, really exciting stuff, which we're gonna get into. But it also gives you a place and a space to give flowers to other people because it takes a village. It does. And I think that there's space for everybody that really makes up what our community is to kind of have a space and be shown in that light. But before we get into it all, if there's people that do not know who you are, which, wow, I don't know how that can be, but if there is a person that doesn't know who you are, please tell them who you are and what it is that you do.
I have no idea.
Just break it down as best as you can.
I'm Kev. I'm from London. I was born in the UK a long time ago. Who am I? I mean, where do you want me to go?
Well, I think if you could encompass what it is that you do in like a one sentence package present, what would that be? What does Kev do?
Helps people.
Boom. Okay, we're gonna get into what that helps.
That's my job. But that is me, basically.
Yeah,
whether I'm being a DJ or a dancer or a teacher or whatever, that's what I do. That's my function. With
the intention of helping people.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my plan always, but I always end up doing that.
We're gonna get into all of that.
Yeah.
To see where that goes. But before we do, I'm going to play a little icebreaker game. Is that all right?
Absolutely fine.
Okay. TV show music has to cue first. So hold on. Ba-da-da-da-da!
Okay. Nice to meet you. Bye.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you some quick fire round questions. And whatever comes to mind, just roll with it. And hopefully some of those little nuggets of what you're saying we can touch and probe on later, but
yeah, for sure.
Just give people an overview of who you are. Okay, here we go. First question. What is your earliest dance memory?
I think my earliest one is standing on my mum's feet in Guyana. So where my family's from in South America, there's like a community of people, like you have these communities. And they would have what we call a fete or a fete, and it's like a party and the family comes and there's food and the kids are there and the adults are there and there's music playing and then the adults are speaking and stuff like that. So you're around this kind of like healthy community vibe that includes dancing and music, and I wouldn't know at the time, but it would be intellectual conversations that the adults were having,
Yeah.
So I remember like being on my mum's feet.
That's lovely. That's lovely. All right.
Yeah.
Keep going. So what is your favorite song to get down to at the moment?
At the moment?
Because you're a DJ, so that catalog must be wow.
It's massive, but at the moment.
The most recent song that you heard and you were like, ooh, wait.
I can't remember the artist, but it's called J'adore.
Okay. Getting French.
Yeah, it's really a nice song, and it inspires me right now. Sometimes I'll find a song and I just rinse it to death.
Yeah.
So I listen to it going shopping in Sainsbury's, and I listen to it in the house and boogie a bit, and then I wear it completely out, and then I find another song.
So J'adore. Yeah. I'm gonna try and look for that.
It's someone featuring Tiffany, so you'll find it if you look for that. Yeah.
Viewers at home, if you find it, DM. I beg. All right. Three. Other than you, who is the best dancer in your family?
My sister, for sure. She's the one that got me into dancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a nugget. We're going to come back to that.
Come back to that, yeah.
All right. So 4, what was the best dance advice you've ever received and from whom?
You're whack.
You're whack?
Yeah, like you're garbage or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it was, he didn't actually say that, but that was the sense of what he was saying, right? And his name was Gary Johnson, I remember, because it was my first ever battle beating, I would say. Because I was a bit tasty when I was young.
Yeah.
And then I was at a friend's birthday party. I must have been about 11 or 12. And this guy, Gary Johnson, was there, and it was like reggae, skanking. There was actually a skanking battle. And he completely demolished me. And then, yeah, he just said something afterwards, like, you're kind of rubbish or whatever, you know?
That's it. Why was it the best advice, though?
Because it just means to train harder, like step your game up, or that you might think you're somewhere,
right,
and you're not where you think you are,
right,
you know?
Right.
Because in your little environment, you might be Mr. Hot.
Yeah.
And then you go into another environment, and then it's just like...
You're Mr. Not.
Yeah. And it was quite a wake-up call, because his level was so much higher than mine.
Right.
That I couldn't really process it. Do you know what I mean? Like everything I tried to do, he just did it a million times better, and it just made no sense. Because I thought I was that guy. Do you know what I'm saying?
So it humbled you, basically.
Yeah, completely. And I think I was about 11, actually.
Okay.
I think I was about 11.
Well, you're whack. Okay. That's
yeah.
Great.
So it was, the sense of it was you're whack, but we didn't have that word in our vocabulary yet.
Of course not.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. What was the last dance spectacle that left you in awe? Like the last time you saw someone physically moving that just was like, wow.
I think a battle online, actually. There was a battle recently, an event called Break Free in Texas.
Yeah.
And the final was really, really a nice exchange.
Who was it between?
It was between a guy named Ali and a guy named Victor. And Victor's like one of my favorite B-boys anyway.
Right.
And it was just it was less of a kind of staged battle, even though that was the environment. But they were really, really having a conversation. And I just thought it was very mature. Do you know what I mean? It gave me that feeling of like, oh, this is why I like breaking, actually.
Yeah. That's dope. All right, I'm gonna have to check that out. Okay, let's keep going. Something that was really difficult for you to learn. Where it could be moral, compass-wise, it could be a move. You look really regal in the galaxy, looking.
Oh, sorry. Gaussian theory, because I did physics at uni, and Gauss.
Whoa, really? For layman's term minds like myself, what is that?
It's to do with electromagnetic fields and the like. And I just remember thinking, oh man, this is way too complicated. You know?
Gaussian theory.
Yeah, it's to do with electric fields.
Okay.
And it's like super interesting, but it's just like, I remember seeing it and thinking, is anybody else getting this? Because I'm lost here.
All right, I'm going to leave that with you. I'm not going to try and help you with that.
Yeah. If you can, it'd be great. But
sounds even hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. We're nearly there. What would you tell your younger self?
I mean, apart from the stupid questions like buy Bitcoin or whatever, stupid answers, I would probably tell me to, I mean, I don't want to be cheesy or whatever. I'll just be completely honest. Okay, get rid of the snakes earlier.
Okay, boom. I feel like that's a nugget.
Yeah.
But get rid of the snakes earlier, okay?
Earlier, yeah.
Any little of that elaboration on it?
No, I think sometimes we keep people around way past their sell-by date.
Season.
You know? Yeah, as soon as they start becoming toxic, you should get rid of them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You shouldn't wait until it builds to a point where you can't get rid of them, where they're anchored onto you, you know? So before that point comes, you should get rid of them, I think.
Lovely. Yeah. And last question, when was this is kind of maybe a bit hard. When was the actual moment that you fell in love with what it is that you do, which you've said is helping people?
Super early, maybe 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not what I expected, but what happened? 14.
I was in a crew with an old friend of mine named Lone Star. It was like the two of us were the only guys, and there was like 3 or 4 girls. Mm-hmm. So because I was a bit decent, I used to help them to learn some skills. Right. And I just found that helping people was sometimes it was more useful. I mean, I'm a very bad asthmatic, right? So some of the things I can't do, I can help other people to do, so I can still have the enjoyment.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And especially growing up, my asthma was like super flaky. So I could never become what I wanted, what was in my head to become. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So helping people to get those skills and still being able to enjoy it through them and facilitating them getting it, you enjoy as well. I think that was what happened.
That's not what I expected you to say, but that.
What did you expect? I'd love to know what's in your head.
I feel like because of, and maybe that's me not knowing all of this your whole
the background,
earliest background of life. I'm knowing you from a certain point to here.
Right.
So yeah, it's just enlightening for me, and I'm sure other people that might equally not know this side of you.
Oh yeah, it's a long story back here, man.
Let's get into that. Thank you for playing my little game.
No problem.
Da-da-da. End of show music. Okay, cool.
Okay, commercial break.
Commercial break.
And we're back.
So what I wanted to... Your career, I feel like, has spanned not just yourself, but because of all, as you said, all the spider diagrams of loads of people that you've kind of helped and pushed in their careers, your career in its entirety spans so far. It's super vast. And I'm really interested in knowing what those stages are. So what I've been asking people is if you could break it down into like 5 really concise steps of what you did to get to where you are now, how would you break that down? Like going right from the beginning of, when you first really came into the scene all the way to, the position that you're up to today. How would you break that down?
I think learning, like being exposed to what we call street dance now, that was probably my first actual, I'd like to become a dancer kind of decision, right?
How old was you roughly then?
Around about 12.
Okay.
So it was really, Tony Basil had a special. Yeah. Tony Basil did Mickey, right?
Yeah.
The song.
Yeah.
She had a special on TV and it featured Shabadoo, Poppin' Pete, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And I think, as far as I remember, that's the first time I saw dance as a career,
right,
or as a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course, you're exposed to dance in movies and stuff like that, but it's so far away. Fred Astaire and all this stuff is so kind of like abstract. But when you see something like that, you're like, I recognize this.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
100.
So I think that was step 1.
Yep.
And then I would say step 2 is starting to teach at a young age, right? Or not even teach, but to help other people.
And where was that? Where did you...
That's with those girls, for example.
Okay, cool. Where?
Right?
Like, where? What area were you in?
So that was school days. I'd say Deptford, Brockley.
Okay.
Right. I'm from Peckham, so Deptford, Brockley was like maybe stage 2.
Yeah.
And then there's like a long history of dance and being exposed to dance and traveling and all this kind of stuff. I would say that step 3 would be, I don't know. I don't think there are steps. It's more of little waves. Yeah.
All right, then let's go with that. What's all the different waves and the lulls that you? So you're in traveling mode.
Traveling, meeting people, dancing with people, like just sharing some of my little tricks or knowledge or shortcuts or whatever, and them adapting or adopting those skills and then watching them grow. Like I remember, I don't know if you know who Mr. Steen is. Yeah. So I remember showing him a technique I worked out. It must have been 94 or something like that. I showed him this technique, right? And he basically turned into his whole style, you know? So that wasn't the intention.
He developed it off of the back of...
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, he had other skills and he did other things, but this particular technique, he still uses to this day. Do you know what I mean?
That's dope.
Yeah, so just doing stuff like that, and then you kind of find your way somehow. Like you see someone trying something, or you see a way that you can help them to improve. Sometimes I'm a bit tone deaf, so I just make a suggestion even though you haven't asked, right? And other times people ask, "Oh, what do you think of this thing?" or whatever, and you give them a tip, or you open another door for them to walk through or whatever. I think that is one of the waves. Yeah. Right.
I'd want to know as well, because I believe it's Monsters you train now.
Yeah. And one of the groups.
One of. And Soul Mavs, am I right?
Soul Mavericks, yeah.
And
Flosaic as well.
Okay. So how did these groups already exist?
No. I formed these groups.
Right. That's what I want to know. That's how.
Okay. So in the 90s, in the late 90s and the early 2000s, I think that the dance scene in the UK, from my perspective, had dropped off compared to what we had in the 80s. Okay. Yeah. I was living in Denmark in 2003, 3 and 4, and Storm came to visit. Him and another guy came from Germany. Yeah. The B-Boy Storm. And I was lamenting how poor the scene in the UK had gotten, right? And he just basically said to me...
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the decline of that was?
I think there's a number of reasons. There was a disconnect between the old school and the new school, or the present school at that time. There was... in the UK, we've got so much going on, you know, on the music front and everything. So we've got so many things to distract people, right? That maybe dance just wasn't that interesting anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There was an arrogance in the new generation that I think worked against them, and I think it's still there a little bit. And yeah, there was just a massive disconnect. So I was complaining, not that I'm a complainer. And he just basically said, just do something about it. So when I came back to the UK, I formed Flosaic with Sue. Like after a bit of time, me and Sue formed Flosaic around 2004. And then Mavericks I started in 2005. And then Monsters I started in 2010. And it was always the case of training some people, helping some people out, and then being like, well, just be a collective and try and go further. Do you know what I mean? Because on your own, it's really, really hard. Yeah. To become effective, I guess. Yeah. But in a collective, it's just so much more. There's so much more work can be done. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So I encourage people to form a collective and then to just go out in the world and rep. You know. You know, even now, like we do this Kev's Kitchen on a Tuesday where I teach house or whatever, and I'm just like form a collective, you know, like go to jams together and smack people up or whatever it is.
So that's in the pipeline then?
No, I've been doing that for 6 years or something like that. Yeah, but I don't want to be in, like before it was like, okay, I formed this group and I'm not part of the group, but I'm part of the group. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're
right. Like I'm the manager or the coach or whatever, right? But now I'm a bit older. I'm just like, yo, just start the process yourself, you know, because as I get older, I don't want to be in that bit anymore. Do you know what I mean? That's for the youngsters to do and for them to create their own offshoots and stuff, you know? I think it's important not to always be that person that's like kicking stuff off. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you ever noticed, but you'll never see me like in the forefront. If people are interviewing Mavericks or Monsters or whatever, you'll never see me.
No.
Right? Because it's not my interest to be the main man, like, yo, this, that, I'm just not on that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's their time.
Yeah.
It's their time.
Yeah. That's dope. That's dope. Kudos to you, man.
I don't know about that. I just, yeah.
All right. So I feel like then it feels natural to then talk about like currently what you're doing and where the future of your stuff is going. So
I've kind of gone sideways a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Give it up.
I mean, obviously, I love dancing. I love DJing, which I'm known mostly for.
Yeah.
And I've got a real interest in the whole judging situation, right?
Okay.
I think that judging is broken. Actually, it's not broken. It's not even born yet.
What is broken about it? The system,
There is no system, and that's the problem.
Right. Okay.
It's a discipline without discipline.
Oof.
Right? So you've got this situation where people are selected to judge and they don't know jack shit about anything. Right? So they're just kind of pure subjective, pure emotion. And I think that maybe 10 years ago, me and a few guys thought, you know what, we need to fix this, really. So it becomes more fair, it becomes more accountable, that judging makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
So I know the things that you're working on now.
Yeah.
Especially with the breaking coming into the Olympics, which is huge. And I think there's been quite a lot of disparity between whether it should be in there and shouldn't be in there. And do you know what I mean? There's lots of, everyone has their opinion on it, but I wanted to talk directly to you regarding what breaking in the Olympics means and how, especially now you're talking about how you feel judging and, you know, the formula and how it's been in previous battles and how you're willing to change it, or what you're contributing to change that energy in this Olympics journey that breaking's going to be taking.
So I actually just finished a congress, which was a judging workshop / training / certification thing.
So with the Olympic stuff?
It was leading to the Olympics.
Right.
Because basically an organization is the international federation that's bringing breaking to the Olympics. And I'm part of that project, right?
Right.
So we've created a judging system. So now we need to train people. And at the same time, we're going to raise the level of judging awareness, just as part of the process, right? So I get my way after all, because trying to argue with the scene was just long. It's taking long, you know?
Yeah.
Breaking in the Olympics, I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's more about what that platform can do for us.
And what is that? What do you think it is?
And I think it can get us funding. I think it can get us visibility. I think it can get, like in some countries, dance in general has no respect. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when we speak, even though people don't realize it, they speak from such a Eurocentric point of view, right? They forget that in most of the world, dance has zero respect on a governmental level, right? Yeah. Having this dance form in the Olympics can afford you attention from people who have the money and the resources to help our communities, right? Because when I was young, we had youth clubs.
Bare of them.
Loads, man. And now there's nothing. And those youth clubs used to have discos, right? So dance was still part of growing up.
Vibe, yeah.
And now there's nothing. Now there's only, like, everybody just wants to be a rapper or whatever. Nobody wants to be a dancer, right? So it'd be nice if we can get some attention and some resources put this way, and just some more respect, you know? That's not entertainment. The entertainment route is fine, the X Factors and all this kind of stuff, right? So you think you can dance and all this, but it's so low level entertainment.
Yeah.
It doesn't feed us.
Nah.
Right? Whereas the Olympics, I think, is more of an education. Okay, this is serious now. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
It's not some guy who's never danced or whatever, like giving his opinion on something he doesn't understand. It's going to be professionals giving their opinion on professionals. You know, and I think this is just going to raise the level. And then other people are going to look and say, oh, look, if they can do that with their dance form, we can do that with our dance form. And hopefully it will spread out the knowledge, the desire to become more than just entertainment. You know?
Breaking is going to kick in the next Olympics, right?
2024, yeah.
Right, and where is it? In Australia? Where is it?
France, Paris.
Okay, great. So what has the government, or do we know of if the government is starting to invest money into our Team GB?
There is no Team GB yet.
Okay, but no. there is an intention for this.
There is an intention for that to happen. And there will be an intention to get funding and to get,
lovely,
you know, like if we can get into schools and all this kind of stuff, and we can do education workshops, like you can sneak education into dance training, right? Like it's a sneaky way of doing it. But when you start talking in abstractions and a little bit higher level, you can sneak in things to just dance training.
Right.
You know? That's what I found.
Dance GCSEs in school is equally a course that hasn't got as much rounded thought, I think, when it comes to all of the kind of different qualifications that you can get in the education system.
That's after my time, mate.
What, dance GCSE?
Yeah. In my day, dance was rubbish in school.
Really?
Yeah. It was complete crap.
So it wasn't part of the education system?
It might have been, but nobody did it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rubbish.
Okay, but why? If you were dancing out so much outside of school, then why wasn't it a viable thing that you would want to study?
Because there was a disconnect between what you did in school, like that, and what we were doing outside of school.
Right.
You know, but now it's more integrated. Like you'll do maybe hip hop or whatever in school.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's contemporary.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas me growing up, why would I want to do contemporary dance or something? It just didn't even make no sense to me. There's no rawness there for us, from our perspective, right?
From what you were doing.
So, and also in your dance education, you should learn about sponsorship. You should learn about networking. You should learn about professionalism. You should learn about contracts. You should learn about what to do if you get injured.
All of that.
You know, all of that. But that's not being taught in a dance class in school. Right. So the bigger picture, nutrition, branding yourself, all of this stuff is super important. Yeah. And that's what I mean. You can get that education in, you can sneak it in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the way to do that is visibility. Eventually,
you'd want it to get to a point where you don't have to sneak it in, when it's like this is what you're going to learn in dance. It's the whole
yeah. So but I think we need a generation that's educated. Yeah. Right. In those skills, so that the next generation say, oh yeah, I want to do dance, of course, because I love it. Right. But I also want those other skills because I want to do dance for my whole life. Right. There's no way as a kid that I thought I'd still be doing this at my age. No way.
What did you think you would grow up to?
Oh, I'd be working for NASA, innit?
with your, what's that, electromagnetic?
Yo, I'm the only person that I know that can say hip hop ruined my life. Literally. I should be working for NASA or something like that, you know?
Oh man, you got the brain for it, man.
Mincing around with dancers was the last thing I thought I'd be doing.
Well, it's another type of airlifting off of the ground.
No, I mean, it's actually richer. It's richer for me. because it's more personal than just being a cog in a wheel. You know, I used to work for the government. When you're a cog in a wheel, it's just boring.
Yeah.
But when you can make real world contributions, like we are literally changing the world right now,
Woo!
Getting into the Olympics and all this, literally. Like you can't even imagine the
Poetry
scale.
Poetry click.
You can't imagine the scale of what we're doing right now, honestly.
I'm so excited to see it all pan out, man. I'm keeping a close eye on it as much as I can, especially even things like, you know, my younger brother is really kind of, his movement feels like it's got breaking inspired things happening.
Yeah. I mean, he's super talented, you know, but he's come up in an environment that was already healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we can facilitate that for the next generation,
then it's gone clear.
Yeah, man.
Gone clear. I am going to round it off. It's been an awesome chat. I can't believe time gone so fast.
That was quick.
Super quick when you're having fun, mate. But I really just want to finish it off with a chance for you to talk about any of the real influential people that have helped you and help you to help other people and what that's meant to you going forward.
The first dancer that inspired me in real life was a guy named John Riley.
Okay.
He used to be my sister's boyfriend when I was maybe 10 or 11. So she would have been about 15, 16. And he was just incredible, right? He was just, his movement and everything was just on some next level, right? He was part of the generation before my generation that were all great dancers, you know? So there was like John Riley, there was Simon LaFell, there was Paul Trouble Anderson, all these names, Marshall, Gary Nurse, Levi Seymour. It's three brothers, isn't it? Anyway, that whole generation that was just before my one.
Yeah.
Were all quality dancers, but I knew John personally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Big.
And he would just come round and then do little tidbits, and I'd just be like,
blown.
Yeah, I mean, 10, 11 years old, what is it? So I would say that he was my first real inspiration as a personal experience of an incredible dancer.
Right.
Throughout the years, I would say this guy named Lone Star, who was kind of like my guardian, I guess, because I was young for my generation anyway, and my mum wouldn't let me out the house. So Lone Star he was maybe 4 years older than me, and he would take me, come to my house and say to my mum, yo, I'm gonna make sure he gets home safely or whatever. Yeah. Right? So he gets a shout out. And then, you know, people like Storm, Thomas from Battle of the Year, Hooch. Without Hooch, there's no UK breaking scene. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like, people need to realize that. That event really put us on the map internationally and everything, right? This lady Pfizer, who she helped Mavericks get space to train, and that was very important in that time. Sunanda always got love for.
Oh, I love her, man.
Without her, there would have been no Flozaic or anything, and that was like the first female breaking crew.
Sick. They were sick.
Definitely in Europe, probably in the world, that was actually doing things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they were the first ever, but they were the first one. We got a show at Breaking Convention. We got a show at Battle of the Year. Like, we were doing stuff that no female crew had ever done before, for real.
Yeah, they were sick.
Yeah. And now it's just like, there's loads of people that are helping to build what we're building, you know? So there's no like single people I could single out, but there's lots of people helping out, man, really. Yeah.
Well, Kev.
Oh, and my students. Wait, sorry.
Talk to them. Talk.
All of them. No, all of them have helped me, because you can't teach unless the students, right? Unless you're on your Jack Jones.
100%.
And a lot of them have achieved some stuff, and a lot of them were tourists. But even as they passed through, they still enriched my life.
Oof. You got bars today.
I don't know about no bars. I'm crap at talking. I'm better at writing, actually.
Kev, thank you so much for taking part. You are
No
an
problem.
incredible, formidable man. And I'm so excited to see all of the stuff that you're going to do, repping for the UK as always.
UK, baby.
Much love, bro.
See ya.